Hello, this is Tuesday, April the 17th, 2023. The temperature in this area, Kentucky, Lexington, is about 43 degrees, feels like 36. And today the temperature will go up to about 59. This is the Sideshow, and I'm Theodore Parker. If you're watching the Sideshow on Facebook, Instagram, talking about it on WhatsApp, don't forget to like, comment, and share. If you're watching the Sideshow on YouTube, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And of course, the Sideshow coffee cup, 11-ounce ceramic, dishwasher safe with the Sideshow logo on it. Buy it from me for $17 plus shipping and handling. Pay me through Cash App. $ TR Parker 1, all caps. Today I thought I had a couple of things that have been in the news that kind of caught my attention. And one of them happens to have occurred right here in Lexington, Kentucky. And it kind of combines several different things. Social media, i.e. TikTok, Lexington, and a couple of other states in the United States. So, TikTok trickster wanted in 4 states arrested in Lexington, specifically by the University of Kentucky police. So let me just give it to you. This is a man who has been scamming and lying to women in particular and people in general for a while now. So this particular incident starts like this. UK police had reason to suspect him and contacted law enforcement in another state. And they confirmed and were able to put together a scenario that went like this. This man had met a woman online. Somehow or another, they got together and spent time on Eastern Shore, several places, Eastern Shore, that is Maryland, and proceeded to think about traveling together. So let me start the story. This was after a Spanish Fort, Alabama woman said she was scammed by the trickster who told her his name was Jason Mitchell. The woman, identified by WKRG as Trisha, said she met Fillers on TikTok and they spent time together on the Eastern Shore among other hangouts. Then one day he stole her car after offering to house sit. I'm not offering any comments. She reported it missing to area police, who later discovered he was also known to Daphne, Alabama police, according to WKRG. Then both departments worked together to determine a timeline of events. The story was that they were going to go from West Virginia to Texas. He had an IRS bill that he needed to pay, and so on the way he said he had to stop in Daphne. It was overnight, a long trip. Now, anybody that's ever paid taxes, what they call a viable member of society, which means paying taxes, knows that if you owe IRS, they will send you a letter telling you that if you don't pay or make payment arrangements, they will garnish your belongings. So a trip is not necessary. But anyway, that being said, when they were in Daphne, they go to a hotel. All of a sudden, he leaves with her credit cards and takes the rental car and drops it off at Mobile Regional Airport. So what we figured, this is police rendering their information, we figured out was he went straight to the airport, acting like he has just flown in, texted our Spanish Fort victim and said, "Come pick me up." Phyllis was apprehended Friday at the University of Kentucky's Chandler Hospital in Lexington, according to university officials, after receiving reports of a man matching his description being cited. UK officials further noted the TikTok trickster was known as such based on his reported history of defrauding people on social media. Here we go. We've already seen the government bring, I think it was the CEO, of TikTok in for questions, especially pertaining to whether or not people using TikTok's personal information was being sent back to the headquarters of TikTok in China, to which I believed he said, gave them an answer, which may have been, I don't know, or I'm not sure. So here's what this man is charged with in other places. Aggravated sexual assault of a child in Texas. Theft of property in Alabama. Felony fraudulent use of a credit card in Arkansas. Theft of a motor vehicle in Tennessee. Authorities said he may face additional charges in Kentucky. So, TikTok, it's your decision. Another one that caught my interest, and this is kind of like, well, I think you probably have heard about the National Guardsman that had been picked up on charges of leaking national secrets, et cetera, and was suitably taken into custody. So now, again, in the Tennessee National Guard, there was another 21-year-old man, I don't even know how to say this, but I'll say it anyway, who has been apprehended or picked up by the police for soliciting on a website, applying to be a hitman. And the site is called Rent a Hitman. He said that he thought he was qualified based on his experience and training to be a hitman. "Put me in, coach," was his expression. So you can just run that one around for a little bit. Now, the next thing was from the tech world, specifically chatbot GPT, and it probably has to do with AI interaction, to use a broad stroke of the pen. And I'm quite sure the app, you have to pay to use the app. But when you speak of Google, Bing, Ask Jeeves, whatever search engine you're talking about, probably all of us have experienced putting a question in or asking a question, and it may come back and say, "Do you mean?" and rephrase that question. I think the attraction, from what I can gather from what I've read and taken in information that's available that I've looked over, is that the chatbot GPT can answer almost any question, but it was originally conceived on a language translating platform. So to put it as an expression like this, it can retrieve answers from any language and give them back to you in the language in which the question was asked. So that's worldwide access. And the other thing that made me comment on it and look at it a little more deeply was because the comment has been made that it can do software and write code. And since I am a computer programmer, right away that kind of struck me. And I'm not sure if GPT stands for, but maybe Global Positioning Translator. And just asking it a question and seeing it search multiple languages to see where that answer might be has its appeal. But then I think about such Hollywood versions of movies like Eddie in Stealth or Eagle Eye. So we'll just see how it goes. But it seems to be catching on, popularity, and it's an advanced thing. Chatbot, CPT. So speaking of gun control, briefly, I saw a small article, or saw an article anyway, small or otherwise, that where a man was commenting, and the person that applied to be a hitman was in Tennessee from the National Guard. So this comment regarding gun control comes from a long-time firearms dealer, 16 years, who was specifically discussing the application questions or the applications, what the application to apply to purchase a firearm contains. Okay. So most of us are familiar with putting in an application for employment, and somewhere on there it will say, have you ever been convicted of a felony? And you can answer yes or no. And from that point, you proceed with the employment process. So there's been so much discussion about mental health red flags that I thought him coming forward and saying that he has reached out to various people who have some input on these mental health flags, for him to make suggestions as to what would actually be workable based on his time dealing firearms, licensed firearm dealer, and what his experience is with people purchasing firearms and how he suggests things to his staff to proceed with same. So he said that he doesn't just, if there's some considerations or some little hiccup, to coin a phrase that gives him a signal that something is not right, he'll just, slow the process or do a little more in-depth situation. But to kind of get to the point, he said there's just one question that reflects all of this discussion about mental health red flags. And the question is similar to the one about, have you ever been convicted of a felony? The question that he put in his statements or in his article was like this: have you ever been committed to a mental institution, or have you ever been diagnosed with mental disabilities? Have you ever been committed to a mental institution, or have you ever been diagnosed with mental disabilities? That's the only question. That's the only question related to mental health purchases of firearms. So I thought I would just kind of put that out there for you to be aware of, because I have not seen an application. I haven't had any reason for one to come across my desk, so to speak, and I haven't seen one online. So this is all brand new to me, so I thought I would pass it along. So now we're at what I really wanted to talk about, today. And whenever gun control comes up, it seems like right on the heels of gun control comes a big discussion about abortion. So the country was in an uproar a couple of months ago when the decision came down from the courts. And I thought I would kind of lay a little groundwork from my perspective, again, on the topic, starting with our school days. Schools usually at some point in time have what they consider a health class or reproductive health class. And usually, at it's such a young age that children may start laughing, the boys will start laughing, the girls will start laughing. And, that's how they are initially introduced to their bodies and reproductive health. So that being said, boys and girls, I have to also qualify what I'm about to say, that man and woman does not produce children. Let me repeat that. Man and man relationship and woman relationship does not produce children. And I will further comment that by said activity, it could be interpreted as a self-proclaimed attempt at genocide for the human race. So, young children are laughing and about the information's coming up, and yours must have broke off. Anyway, women determine their pregnancy when they miss their period. So that's usually like a 6-week thing. And after that 6 weeks, maybe to wait to see if it was just some kind of nature thing. And if it happens again, then they're on their way to the doctor to determine whether it's a medical issue or whether or not they're pregnant. So that right there takes up 6 weeks. I'm leading up to the amount of the weeks that they have decided are within the limits for an abortion, whether it's 16 or 10 or 15 or 24. So you got, 6 to 8 weeks right there. And then you have your first trimester, which is 3 months. Then you have your second trimester, which is 3 months. And then you have your third trimester, which is 3 months, which makes a total of 9 months. And in each one of these trimesters, the fetus develops certain parts that continue to grow and mature to the point of the mother giving birth. Okay. Now, since it takes two to tango, as they say, traditionally, we have been taught that men are providers and protectors, and women give birth to children and take care of the home. That's kind of like an oversimplification. But, 180, the man has 180, the woman has 180. But together, they make a 360. Together, they make a 360. So, I just thought that with that being said, the decision for the time frame for the abortion, has been decided or announced based on two things. Number one, it's okay for the abortion to take place if there is a medical issue that threatens the woman's health or there is some problem medically with the fetus. The second one is criminal activity, i.e., rape or incest that produces pregnancy. Now, you following me on this, right? Okay. Now, have you noticed how many women are going across state lines to access abortions based on those two criterias? That's it. Hashtag